At Seidoukan Academy, Ayato Amakiri, a young male Genestella, grabs a handkerchief dropped from a dormitory window. When Ayato returns it to its owner, Julie's Alexia von Riesfeld, he inadvertently discovers her putting her clothes on. Julie's challenges Ayato to a duel, but the duel is interrupted when the Seidoukan Student Council President, Claudia Enfield, intervenes as Ayato is not yet officially enrolled at Seidoukan. Ayato and Claudia discuss his sister Haruka, who has disappeared, and led Ayato to transfer to Seidoukan. Ayato is introduced to the class. After school, Lester MacPhail challenges Julie's to a duel. Lester withdraws his challenge when Ayato intervenes. Julie's explains that while she is a princess, she is fighting because she needs money for her country. Ayato meets up with his childhood friend Saya Sasamiya in class. Claudia appears when Saya is arguing with Julie's to decide who takes Ayato on a tour around town. Julie's takes Ayato on a tour with Saya. While on the tour, Julie's and Saya get attacked by a hooded man and they easily defeat him. Later that day, Claudia takes Ayato to select his weapon, with Lester unable to wield the Sir Veresta, which is an ogre lux that Haruka previously wielded. Ayato grabs the Sir Veresta and displays his compatibility with it. Ayato is asked by Claudia to find out who is responsible for the attacks that have been happening to Seidoukan students. Ayato and Julie's go out on a date. Julie's explains that she is fighting for money because she needs it to start up some welfare projects. The two meet with Lester demanding a rematch with Julie's, but he withdraws because of his honor code. On the way home, Ayato and Julie's get ambushed by the Wolf students. Julie's easily defeats them. She discovers that a hooded man hired them to attack those Seidoukan students. The hooded men turn out to be robots built by Ernesta Kuhn of Elekent and put to use by Silas Norman's Dante ability. Silas's motive is to injure as many of the top fighters using his robotic fighters so that he would have an easier time winning the Phoenix Festa. Julie's takes on Silas's robots, but she is overpowered by their great numbers before Ayato intervenes and rescues Julie's. Ayato unleashes the power of the Sir Veresta. However, he realizes that his power only lasts for 5 minutes because of the shackles on his power cast by Haruka. Meanwhile, Claudia corners and captures Silas. In a meeting between student council presidents, Claudia strikes an agreement with Arlequin to form a partnership in research and development. Meanwhile, Ayato bumps into Kirin Todo, who is the highest-ranking student of Seidoukan. Witnessing her uncle Koichiro attacking her, Ayato intervenes and asks him to stop abusing her. Koichiro accepts if he can defeat Kirin in a duel. Ayato holds back in his duel and loses to Kirin. Ayato finds out from Julie's that Kirin is the top fighter in Seidoukan Academy despite her age. Julie's lectures Ayato for challenging Kirin, but she commends him for his actions. Ayato and Kirin have a training session together. Kirin explains that Koichiro is an ambitious man who is plotting to use her to become a board member of the executive committee. Kirin also explains that she is fighting for her father, Seijiro, who was detained after using magic in self-defense. During the training session, Ayato and Kirin get attacked by shapeshifting lizards and end up falling underground. Ayato defeats the dragon that sent the shapeshifting lizards to attack him and Kirin. While trapped underground, Kirin explains her story about Seijiro. She was held hostage by a criminal that Seijiro killed to rescue her. He was arrested as a result. The two are rescued by other people. Upon hearing that Koichiro is using her as a pawn in his plot, Kirin decides to follow Ayato instead of her uncle. Kirin challenges Ayato to a duel. Both fighters goes all out with Ayato emerging victorious. Following the duel, Kirin decides to train with Ayato and pair up with Saya for the Phoenix Festa as both are fighting for their fathers. Saya and Kirin struggle with their teamwork during a training session. Instead of continuing their training, the two go on a shopping trip together to strengthen their bonds. Saya buys a gun from a used Lux store. Saya and Kirin head to the pool to help Kirin learn how to swim. While at the pool, Kirin accidentally bumps into Violet Weinberg of Queenvale. An enraged Violet fights Saya but is easily defeated. The next day, Saya and Kirin return to training with their teamwork greatly improved. The match selections for the Phoenix Festa are announced with Ayato and Julie's not having to fight Saya and Kirin until the finals. Irene Erzes of La Wolf is released from prison. She is given orders by the school's student council president, Dirk Eberween, to defeat Ayato in the Phoenix Festa. The tournament begins with Ayato and Julie's quickly winning their first match with a single strike by Ayato using the Sir Veresta. Following the match, Ayato has interviews with the media. Ayato is determined to keep the time limit of the Sir Veresta a secret. In the next match, Ernesta and Camilla easily win their first match using their robots RMC and RD. Saya's father, Suichi, tells her that he has a new gun prepared for her, but it would not arrive in time for her first match. Ayato and Julie's go off to get some practice. While rushing to catch Saya and Kirin's first match, they see Irene brawling in the streets. Irene approaches Ayato to pick a fight with him. but her sister Priscilla arrives to apologize. Saya and Kirin win their first match. Ayato and Julie's win their second match with only Julie's attacking. The next match has Lester and Randy against Irene and Priscilla. Irene defeats Randy as part of the plan. Priscilla's blood is drained to power Irene's Ogre Lux, the Gravy Sheath. However, Irene sucks blood from Priscilla to recharge her Gravy Sheath. Irene easily defeats Lester and wins the match. While searching for Saya, Ayato is met by Priscilla, who is being pursued by gamblers. Ayato helps Priscilla shake her pursuers. Irene arrives and tells Ayato that they are opponents for the next match. Irene attacks Dirk for failing to ensure Priscilla's safety as part of the contract, but her attack is rebuffed. Later that day, Ayato and Julie's get invited to dinner at Irene and Priscilla's apartment. Irene tells Ayato and Julie's her problem. Irene owes a massive debt to Dirk. She has been gambling at the casino to help pay it off. Later that night, Ayato sneaks into Claudia's apartment to ask about Irene's weapon. He learns that Ogre Luxes can change the wielder's personality. Irene recalls the time she received the Gravy Sheath from Dirk shortly before the fourth match with Ayato and Julie's. Julie's unleashes her Rafflesia attack after some strategical tactics, but Irene survives the attack. Irene sucks Priscilla's blood. The Gravy Sheath possesses Irene and causes a massive gravity flux on the battlefield. Ayato withstands the gravity attack and destroys the Gravy Sheath using the reverse gouging shell attack to win the match. Ayato used his powers past the 5-minute limit that he suffers from its side effects. The side effects are now public knowledge. Dirk decides to form a partnership with Ernesta and Camilla. Priscilla lets Irene know that she will become a fighter someday to fight alongside Irene. Meanwhile, steering committee chairman Mediath Mesa reveals that he has a scheme. By winning, Ayato is interfering with Mediath's plan. When Julie's asks Ayato if he is okay, he says he is okay. Ayato later appears to be in pain. Ayato vows to Julie's that he will protect her. After that, Ayato and Julie's attempt to kiss, but Claudia, Saya, and Kirin walk in, interrupting them. Ayato and Julie's fight Song Ran and Zhao Kunjan of Jilong. Julie's creates a wall of fire to turn the match into 2 one-on-one battles. In a coordinated attack, Julie's makes a hole in the wall. Ayato and Julie's take out each other's opponents. Following the match, the maid Flora Clem shows up in the locker room to meet Julie's. Julie's explains her background and relationship with Flora. One day, Julie's visited the orphanage Flora is from. Julie's visit improved everybody's outlooks on life. As a result, Julie's explains that she is fighting in the tournament to support the orphanage. The next day, Ayato, Julie's and Flora go out on a shopping trip together. Ayato is asked by a Rewolf student to meet Dirk, who reveals that Haruka was seriously injured fighting in an illegal underground tournament called the Eclipse Festa. On the night before the match, Ayato and Saya recall the time they trained together with Haruka. Ayato and Saya could never beat Haruka. The match against the twins Shenhyun and Shenhua of Jilong begins with Ayato activating his powers and knowing about his time limit. Shenhyun creates clones of himself to force Ayato to use up his energy. Shenhyun traps Ayato in his talisman cage. Julie's fights Shenhua, following the hit Ayato took from the exploding talismans. Shenhyun is about to finish off Ayato with his time limit having been reached until Julie's rescues him. With Ayato battered, Julie struggles to defend him as she gets chained up. In response, Ayato unlocks the second level of his seal that allows him to sustain his powers for an hour, realizing that the attacks are illusions. Ayato closes his eyes to withstand the attack and defeat Shenhua. Ayato defeats Shenhyun after extending the reach of his weapon to destroy his fireball barrage. Following the match, Saya explains that her father lost most of his body in a lab accident. Saya and Kirin begin their semifinal match against RD and RMC by reading their moves, which is something all previous opponents were unable to do. Saya unleashes her Lux Cannon, but RD's barrier reduces the damage. The two robots, RD and RMC, combine and overwhelm an exhausted Saya and Kirin. Following the match, Flora is kidnapped. The captors demand that Ayato put a freeze on his Cerberus that would make him unable to use the weapon ever again. Claudia comes up with a plan to apply for the freeze and then to stall the process for as long as possible until Flora can be rescued. Saya and Kirin go out to search for Flora. Ayato and Julie's win their semifinal match against Elliot and Dorotheo of St. Galahadworth without using Cerberus. Saya and Kirin continue to search around for leads with help from Ishiro. Ayato meets Irene in secret. Camilla recalls the past when she lost her limbs in a terrorist attack. Ernesta installed prosthetic limbs to replace them, going off based on Irene's speculation. Ayato goes to Rotlicht. Rotlicht is cornered by mafia men. A mysterious girl suddenly appears. Ayato and the mysterious girl escape the mafia. One person followed them and that one person is easily defeated. The mysterious girl reveals herself as the songstress Sylvia Lionheim. Sylvia sings a song to locate Flora. Ayato passes on her location to Saya and Kirin as they decide that they will rescue Flora themselves to allow Ayato and Julies to concentrate on their match. Saya and Kirin arrive at the hideout. Saya and Kirin are attacked by an endless army of shadows when Lester arrives to cover for them as they proceed deeper into the hideout. In the match, Ayato and Julies form a strategy to force RD and RMC to merge as quickly as possible and defeat them during the merge. During the merging process, Ayato defeats RMC. However, Ayato fails to defeat RD. RD's transformed version makes him stronger than before. Meanwhile, Saya and Kirin rescue Flora after defeating the Shadow Master Werner in a tough battle. With Flora rescued, Claudia announces the news over the microphone. Ayato activates the Cerberista now that the freeze has been cancelled. Ayato and RD battle, deciding that speed is the key to victory. Julies transfers her energy to the Cerberista. Ayato performs the Moon of Carnage technique to defeat RD and win the Phoenix Festa. Ayato is presented the trophy from Medaya. Meanwhile, Ishiro kills Werner. After the battle, Ayato and Julies are congratulated. Camilla and RMC approach Saya asking for a rematch, wanting to settle things with a fair fight. Ayato makes a request to Medaya to search for Haruka. Shortly afterward, Medaya goes his separate ways from Dirk and reveals that he is secretly in possession of Haruka's body. Ayato, Julies, Claudia, Saya, and Kirin travel to Lysiltania for the winter break. Julies returns to her home to meet up with her brother Jalbert and sister-in-law Maria. Ayato meets up with Saya on the rooftop. Saya apologizes for cutting off communications between them when she moved away. Claudia asks everybody to form a team of 5 for the upcoming Grips Festa and they accept. Later that night, the Riesfeld family puts on a ball that everybody attends. Ayato is approached by Gustave Malrox, who implores him to leave Claudia's team. Ayato refuses and is attacked by Gustave's Chimera. Eventually, Ayato, Julies, Claudia, Saya, and Kirin destroy the Chimera and Gustave retreats. Jalbert asks Julies to marry Ayato and reveals that she has to abandon the Grips Festa, as Julies might not be able to handle the added political pressure with her reputation earned by winning the Phoenix Festa. Julies visits the orphanage that she wanted to save with Ayato. On the way back home, she encounters her old friend, Ophelia Landlufen. Julies and Ophelia have a duel with Ophelia's miasma attacks overpowering Julies. Ayato steps in to fight Ophelia until Gustave arrives and uses 2 chimeras to fight Ayato and Julies. When Claudia arrives and easily defeat the chimeras, Ophelia and Gustave flee. Ayato wakes up 3 days later after fighting Ophelia and is informed about her history with Julies. In a flashback, a young Ophelia befriends Julies, with the orphanage in desperate need of money. Ophelia is sold off to be experimented on by the Arlequin scientist Hilda Jane Rollins. Ophelia is artificially made into a Genistella that wilts any plants that she approaches. Back in the present, the Lysiltanian capital is under attack by Gustave's chimeras. Gustave uses a Hydra monster to attack Julies. Ayato, Julies, and Saya defeat the Hydra monster while Kirin captures Gustave. With everybody heading back to Seidoukan Academy, Julies informs Jalbert of her intentions to change Lysiltania. Julies commits herself to fight in the Grips Festa back at Seidoukan Academy. Ayato sees Haruka's comatose body and encounters Hilda, who informs him that she can heal Haruka. Ayato refuses her offer and participates in the Grips Festa. So that's it for this video. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe my channel, and turn on the notification bell for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.